Hi, I'm Munish Chawla from Lifestyle Docs. I'm a physician. I'm board certified in diagnostic radiology and lifestyle medicine. In 2012, actually February 1st, 2012, I became vegan along with my wife. My wife had been vegetarian all her life, but when we got married, she was vegetarian and I was an omnivore. But slowly, first I took out red meat because I knew it wasn't very good for me. And then I had taken out chicken and most other animal products. But I loved seafood. I loved shrimp. I loved fish, especially sushi. So we would go to Japanese restaurants and, she would order the vegetarian sushi and I would get, one of the better rolls I thought at the time. And I knew that this was something I needed to give up, but I just enjoyed the taste too much. So in August of 2012, I went to a 10-day meditation retreat. Something clicked during that retreat, and one of the things that I learned there, that we're all sort of seeking temporary sensations. So the sensation we have on that tongue of that sushi is so temporary. It's a few milliseconds, maybe a second or so. And for that, why do I want to torture sentient living beings? So during that meditation, this clicked. So when I came home, we went out to a restaurant. I didn't tell my wife this. So I said, okay, this is the high from meditation. I don't know, when I get back into my regular day job and other stresses, maybe I'll feel differently. So we went out a couple of times to different restaurants. And then finally she said at the third time that I'm noticing that you're eating what I'm eating, that you're not really getting the sushi or you're not getting, the animal products. So then I told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to do that ever again. And so I told her that I don't want to torture other living beings just to satisfy my taste buds, for a second or two. So this was in August of 2011. And at that time, we both became vegetarian, soon after.
Wasn't she already vegetarian?
She was already vegetarian. So a friend of ours had become vegan. She was originally vegetarian also. And she had told us about all the animal cruelty in the dairy industry. At that time, we were not ready. We had young kids. We said, the kids need their calcium. So she stayed vegetarian, but now I said, okay, we need to really look into what our friend was talking about, cruelty in the dairy industry. And it takes just one video on YouTube to just, okay. So if we're doing this for compassion reasons, then we've got to take the dairy out too.
Was that video Dairy is Scary?
I have no idea. I can't remember the video that we saw. Just, made a connection for us that if we're really trying to be compassionate, trying to live our values, then dairy's got to come out too. Can I say you were a little reluctant or no? Okay. And so, she had been a lifelong vegetarian and she was on board. She wanted to go vegan, but she wanted to do it a little bit slower. So we said, okay, New Year's coming up. This is, maybe October, November at this point. In January 2012, we're going to slowly transition, all the dairy products, the desserts, the yogurts, other things we're doing, we're going to start phasing them out. When she was going to turn 40 in May, we would be completely vegan. So we started this process in January. And, by the third or fourth week, we were all done. We said, we don't need those products anymore. We were just having such a wonderful time. Then we probably went vegan a few days earlier, but then we said, okay, made a commitment. February 1st, 2012 is going to be our vegan anniversary. So from that point forward, we have not taken any animal products knowingly. So, we've, really been good about that. And the more we do it, the better we feel about it. Then we learned about, we were physicians. And this is kind of funny. We didn't really know the health benefits of plant-based nutrition before this. So we became vegan for ethical reasons. We said this is, if we are truly being compassionate to the world, that this is what we need to do. And then we started looking at the health benefits, and a little later, the environmental benefits. So we became even more and more committed to this lifestyle.
You only had the one friend that was vegan?
We only had the one friend. It was a couple that went vegan together.
So did you have any other social help with that? It could be kind of lonely doing that by yourself.
It can be lonely, and but my wife and I, for better or for worse, were not very social people. We just had a few friends, and even before pandemic, we didn't socialize very much. And the socialization we did was mostly around my parents and our kids. Left, if we are just kind of left to ourselves, on a Friday night, we'll take out our favorite book and sit in the study. She'll read her book and I'll read my book. And we feel like that's a wonderful evening. So we're not very social people. So it wasn't the social issue was never a problem for us.
Prior to going vegan, you were already kind of moving in that direction without even thinking about it, it seems like. Because it sounds like you gave up things systematically before you even made the connection, maybe. Is that true?
Yeah. Even
before that meditation?
Before that meditation. I was aware enough as a physician that red meat, processed meats, these things are not very good for us. But I thought fish and chicken, low-fat dairy were very healthy for us. So I slowly started removing those things, and as per the research, and this is a big topic. So people will say this is healthy, this is not healthy. But in my mind, at that time, that seafood was healthy.
Yeah.
So
I follow a lot of different YouTubers, one of which goes by the name of Nutrivore. He's very into the science and very into semantics. When we're talking about what's healthy, well, fish actually is healthy. There's healthier things, and there's more compassionate things and more sustainable things. I mean, would you agree with all of that?
Yeah, and I would agree with it 50 years ago. So 50 years ago, I would say fish was healthy because we hadn't polluted our oceans with PCBs, with mercury, all this industrial waste. So now there is mercury in the fish, and the American Pediatric Society, when women are pregnant, they tell them, don't eat fish more than 2 times a week because the mercury content is so high. So these days, I don't think fish is very healthy at all. At one time, I think that would have been true if you're getting, fresh caught and, maybe it added something to it. But like you mentioned, even at its healthiest, whole plant foods are still healthier.
As far as fish being potentially healthy to an extent, even for pregnant women, because the infant depletes the mother of a lot of fatty acids. Do you think it would be safe for them not to eat fish?
I think these days it would be safe for them to not eat fish at all, because we know mercury is a neurotoxin. And Lord knows what other chemicals are in that fish. I mean, that's the one they are focusing on, that's the one they measure, so they know there's 2 high levels of mercury. And mercury is sort of an indicator for industrial waste, so we know there's other chemicals in there. But I agree with you, there are healthy fatty acids in the fish. But where do the fish get those healthy fatty acids? They get them from the algae in the sea. So these days there are so many vegan supplements that can give you the healthy fatty acids, the omega-3s, the EPA, the DHA, the DPA. You can get it in a clean pill, and there's wonderful manufacturers with very open manufacturing practices, so you're getting a good product. And you can get the healthy fatty acids without the chemicals, without the mercury, and without harming another sentient being.
The RDA, though, for an adult is only 1.6 grams of alpha-linolenic acid. It's not even the EPA and DHA for an adult.
Right.
So is it necessary to supplement? Can't they just get it from seeds, nuts, greens?
That's a very good question. So this is alpha-linolenic acid. It will be converted to the longer chain fatty acids like EPA and DHA, but there's a lot of variability on how efficient this conversion is. So our body needs ALA, our body needs EPA, DPA, DHA, all these fatty acids. How much we need and is it necessary to supplement and how much to supplement? Frankly, right now, at least of my reading of the literature, that's not completely decided. Okay. But in general, I think a lot of folks kind of use it as an insurance policy, right? There are folks that have been vegan for a while and they get, at least there's some suggestion that maybe they're getting premature dementia. And, we don't know that this is the direct cause of it, but there seems to be some evidence that if you supplement with the longer chain fatty acids like EPA and DHA, that's going to reduce that. So I look at it as an insurance policy, but it's a supplement. And this is, my philosophy on supplements in general. It can supplement a healthy diet. So it's not a replacement for flax seeds, not a replacement for chia seeds, for healthy nuts, almonds, walnuts. So we do all of that. And we know actually pregnant women are really good converters of the ALA into the longer chain fatty acids. But some populations are not very good converters. So just as in insurance policy, we take an EPA and DHA supplement. And second thing I'll add is these days you can actually measure, how much EPA and DHA. There's really good lab tests. 10 years ago, they really weren't reliable lab tests, but now they've gotten better and better. So, in one way, we're kind of treating a number on the lab thing, and that's not my favorite thing to do. But just as an insurance policy, just to make sure we're getting the healthy fatty acids, I do take an EPA DHA supplement, but I also, get ALA from nuts, seeds, legumes, flax seeds, chia seeds, that sort of thing. So I want to kind of get the whole gamut. Check your levels. If you're doing flax seeds, chia seeds, nuts and seeds, greens and beans, and your level's okay, you don't need the supplement. Yeah. But if you're a little low, then he recommends that go ahead and do it, and that's what we do.
Supplementing because you're low. All right, so like say the index was 0 and you want it over 5 at least or whatever. Do we really know if that particular number matters? And then
right.
you alluded to that earlier.
Yeah, we don't have enough research to know, we don't have long-term research to show, okay, this group of vegans did this for 20 years and this group of vegans just did whole food plant-based diet. Is there a difference? And there's so much variability, even when a lot of folks will say that they're doing a vegan diet, and that's a spectrum. Some people are doing Oreo cookies and a lot of vegan desserts and, processed vegan cheese, where others are doing, 95% or close to 100% whole food plant-based diet. So we don't have that long-term comparison. We have that robust data with vitamin B12. You just need to take it. So, these essential fatty acids, our body needs them. So we don't have the data to say definitely this is something valuable. And in fact, I do know the studies about heart disease and about the supplementation from these fatty acids, and it does not appear to help heart disease.
People opposing this idea, this philosophy, they think that we are trying to do something unnatural. Yeah. But if we did it in the most natural way, the most whole plant food way, that was completely raw even, I'm not suggesting people do that, but we might absorb more of those fatty acids, we might get more B12 naturally. Do you feel the same way about that?
Okay, so B12, as you know, but maybe some of our listeners don't know, it comes from bacteria. It doesn't come from plants or animals. It's in the natural world. So when we were living, even let's say 300, 500 years ago, when we were living off the land, when we were living naturally, when we had access to well water, when we were getting our produce from the garden that we grew in, that wasn't doused with pesticides, that we hadn't, completely, nearly wiped out the microbial life of the soil, there was plenty of B12 in the vegetables, plenty of B12 for everyone. So B12 is not something that is sort of a deficiency that vegans need to correct. B12 is something we're lacking because of industrial agriculture, because of our modern life. So something we have to supplement because we don't grow organic regenerative vegetables anymore. We're all eating commercial industrialized food. Even the whole food plant-based people, most are not growing their food. They're getting it from the grocery store. So that is why we need a B12 supplement. But if you lived a holistic life, you don't even necessarily need to be raw vegan. If you lived a natural life, pastoral life, 500, 1,000 years ago when the ground wasn't, just completely laden with pesticides, there's plenty of B12 in the natural world that you would get from the food that you eat, that you would have plenty of it. But in current today's society, you just have to make sure that you're getting enough B12. And some people, they're raw vegans or whatever they want to believe, you have to be really, really careful, okay? Because these days you can test levels, and if your level is low, this is, being deficient in B12, we're talking anemia, we're talking heart disease, we're talking dementia at a young age. It's major neurological and heart things that happen. And the last thing I want vegans to be on the evening news that this person didn't get enough B12 and they're in the hospital because of, a heart condition or some other strange condition. So, check your levels. If you're industrious enough and you really work hard at it and you can get it through natural means, even in today's toxic, industrialized, pesticide society, more power to you, but check your levels. And if you're low, it's okay to take that supplement.
Yeah, and of course we may as well say, mentioning that everybody's at risk, not just vegans,
yes,
right?
Yes, and I'm really glad you kind of followed up on that point. And people were saying that, if you're eating animal products, you don't need to supplement with B12. Now, the American College of Physicians, for age 50 and over, so part of the B12 goes through a reaction in the stomach, uncoupled with acids, different things, that it's made bioavailable. And as we age, some of that bioavailability is lost. So even omnivores, they should supplement with B12 after age 50. And one more point, these days, livestock is supplemented with B12. So you're not getting it from, the healthy grass that the animal was eating that had lots of B12, because we've destroyed the healthy grass, we've destroyed the healthy prairies. So whether you want to eat an animal that's supplemented with B12, or you can skip all the horrible things that animal cruelty, cruelty towards your own body, eating these animals, all the cholesterol, the saturated fat, all the chemicals you're going to be ingesting, all the unhealthy things that are in these animal products. And if you're choosing to get your B12 that way, you're still not getting it naturally, because the animal has been supplemented with vitamin B12. So, our advice is skip the middleman entirely. If you can do it with a healthy, natural lifestyle, great, but check your levels. But if it's low, take the vitamin B12 supplement.
Do you ever get into any of your own gardening or help with community gardens, or is there any incentives around here that are doing that? Because veganic farming is a fantastic no-till. It helps keep the microbiome of the soil. Is there anything about that you get into or are fascinated with or would like to share?
My mom used to garden for the longest time, and I wasn't too interested. But this is one of the blessings of the pandemic, that we had a little bit more time. So this, I have to give credit to my wife. She said, we've been kind of thinking about doing some gardening, why don't we start? So we have started a little garden. This is like second or third year. And we have some herbs, we have some greens, we have some okra. So real simple vegetables. It's a small garden. And I'm even more excited that, our nonprofit Peaceful Planet Foundation, we have made wonderful connections in the 3rd Ward of Houston. And there are lots of community gardens there. And one of them is Alabama Gardens, and we have kind of hooked up with them. And we haven't done anything formal just yet, but one of the summer camps that the kids who were attending this community center, they wanted to expose them to community gardens. They wanted to expose them to plants, to nature. So our nonprofit funded for their summer camp, and they were able to go to Alabama Gardens. So, and the other thing we're doing, we've adopted the garden at one of the elementary schools, Blackshear Elementary School in 3rd Ward. And as part of our monthly activity as Walk with a Doc, before we used to walk in a local park, but now we do Walk with a Doc at this garden at Blackshear Elementary. So that's been really rewarding, getting our hands into the soil and doing it as a community, so other Peaceful Planet volunteers show up. So it's a wonderful event we do once a month. So that's the extent, but looking into veganic gardening, we're not there yet.
Everybody I know that's vegan, including myself and everybody I've interviewed, we're all vegan forward in a way, in that like we're all trying to take it to the next level, learning constantly. And I have yet to meet like the perfect vegan, but we all embrace the term, and it seems like you have no problem using the word vegan, correct?
Yeah.
Do you tiptoe around that word ever?
You know, when we are in a social situation, we let people know that we're vegan, okay? But I'm also a physician. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about lifestyle medicine, and we can go there next. So when I'm talking to my patients, I tend not to use the word vegan. I use plant-based. Because one of the things, and maybe this is a personal issue of me, I don't want them to think that I'm pushing some sort of agenda on them. I want to kind of stay strictly scientific, that this is what the evidence shows, that this is the best diet for us, this is the best lifestyle for us. So when I'm talking with them, I try to get them to remove as many animal products as they'll do. I'll try to get them to remove as many processed foods as they'll do. So I want them to, be compassionate to the animals, be compassionate to the environment, and be compassionate to themselves. Because, eating whole foods, eating, vegan foods, but prepared healthfully, this is the most compassionate thing you can do for your body and mind. So when I'm sitting in front of my patient, I'll use the word plant-based. I won't use the word vegan, because I don't want them to, nothing to detract them from moving this way of improving their health. And by improving their health, they're improving the animal welfare, they're improving the health of the environment. So, if I can get 100 patients to go 90% vegan, let's say, I think, that's a better way to do it than get 5 patients to go 100%. So that's my personal philosophy, that, I just want people to be compassionate to themselves, to the animal, to the earth, and however that message resonates with them, I want to make it available in that way.
Yeah, and eventually they may decide, oh, I can just do this. I can be vegan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you don't want to overwhelm them, because that would be the end. That's like not the end, but necessarily the beginning of a whole nother level for them.
Right.
And you don't want to overwhelm them either, right?
Exactly.
But what's cool is you're not patronizing them either.
Yeah.
A lot of physicians think their clients aren't going to be able to make lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
But you're willing to take the time to help them. And this might be a good opportunity to segue into lifestyle medicine. So how did you eventually come to lifestyle medicine?
Yeah, so, for 20 years I practiced diagnostic radiology. I was a busy radiologist at a hospital, 24-hour ER, and my wife was an internist. And she was doing her own thing, I was doing my own thing. And then, when we became vegan, just the universe opened up for us, and that's when the health benefits started popping up. And my wife was following one of her Facebook friends, and she posted that she became board certified in lifestyle medicine. So we looked into that. What is this lifestyle medicine? Or actually, I should say my wife looked into it. So this is the exciting part. I'm going to kind of rewind kind of where we started. We learned that there's a medical specialty which recommends that 95% plus of your calorie intake should be whole plant foods. It recommends daily exercise. It recommends healthy tools to manage stress and just be, for mental health, emotional health. It recommends, being part of a loving community, having support, connections, relationality as one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine. It recommends staying away from cigarettes, really, and other drugs, and really limiting alcohol. And also it recommends getting a good night's sleep. So these are something, all these things make common sense. If I sleep, I can see the next day I can function better. If I'm not stressed all the time, my health is better, my heart rate's high, my blood pressure seems to be lower. If I eat better, not eat, so much fried fruit or processed stuff and processed meats, I seem to, feel better in my body. So I think most of us know that when we practice these 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, this is good for us. What we really found encouraging and really empowering, that there's so much peer-reviewed medical research which shows that you get these 6 things right, you can not just be, healthy, and we can kind of go into that, what does healthy mean? You can really thrive. Now there are studies showing that you eat a healthy diet and practice good lifestyle tools, you can actually reverse aging at the cellular level. So, this is just fascinating research. There's so much more exciting news that's going to come more and more as we learn more about this. So my wife said, okay, this is something that she wants to get board certified in also. So she was kind of learning about this field, and then she signed up for taking the lifestyle medicine boards. And then she said that I'm going to, try to do some of this and see how it works for me. And it was improving her health. And then I'm not going to tell you her story, but long story short, she was studying for the lifestyle medicine board examination, and she was telling me in the evening walks we take fairly frequently that such and such, they cut out meat or they cut out dairy, and I was able to lower their diabetes medicine. And such patient doesn't need their asthma medication anymore. So we had the research, which was really empowering, which was really clear that this makes a difference. But when you have an actual patient that that makes these changes and reaps the health benefits, that's a whole other level of convincing you, okay, this stuff works. So she was all in, and I'm kind of looking that, she's studying for the boards, and I don't have much to do in the evenings. Her kids are a little bit grown at this point. So I said, I'm going to take the boards too. Why not? I have the time. So there was still time that I could sign up for the board examination with American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So then we both started studying together. And we both became board certified in lifestyle medicine. And then I had no plans at that time to quit my radiology practice. But once you know something, you want to kind of spread the message. So in the hospital that I worked with, I started a plant-based potluck once a month. And the other thing I'm really passionate about, as I mentioned, after a 10-day silent meditation retreat, I'm really passionate about mindfulness meditation because it's helped me so much in all my life, in everything. It's just a wonderful gift that I've been given, that I would do meditation with these guys once a week. I would set up time during lunchtime, and we would do plant-based potlucks. And whoever in the physician's lunchroom, I would just tell them about the research. I said, just look at it. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at this article. So whoever physician was interested in the lunchroom, I would just share the research. And that I thought was going to be the extent of it. But the more we started doing it, our kids were a little bit older. Bandana was bringing lifestyle medicine into her clinic more and more. She was talking about diet. When someone came in with diabetes, she was talking about diet, and that's not how we're trained. So she was kind of converting her clinic not just to a regular adult primary care, but slowly transitioning to a lifestyle medicine clinic.
Yeah, for clarification, that's not how you're trained until you get certified in lifestyle medicine.
Right, right. Yeah, typical internal medicine boards or really any other medical specialty, nutrition is a sideline. We don't talk about nutrition. When people talk about nutrition, they talk about vitamin C deficiency or they talk about some deficiency. We're not taught in medical science, in medical school, the importance of a healthy diet, which is, a little bit of a problem, but there is definitely good news. More and more medical schools are interested in healthy diets, interested in culinary medicine, interested in other lifestyle factors, so things are definitely changing.
So then you ended up doing this lifestyle.
Right, right. So then I started kind of doing this a little bit more, and the universe arranges everything for us. When I went to the retreat, everything lined up, I was able to go. When I wanted to do a little bit more in lifestyle medicine, everything lined up. The group that I was with, a private group, we sold our practice to a larger group. And it was a good time to kind of make changes. If anybody wanted to work less, we had that opportunity. So I became a part-time radiologist. And at that time, I started working slowly in my wife's clinic, just, teaching folks about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And if they are tired of taking medication for diabetes or hypertension, or even at that time, I was basically sticking with sort of bread and butter stuff, then I would guide them. This is the way you can move. This is how you need to exercise. This is get rid of these meats, other animal products, eat more whole plant foods, and you can see, your A1C is going to start going down. So I had kind of started that process, but I was working, very part-time. But I was enjoying it so much that I talked to Bandhana. I said, I've been doing radiology for 20 years. I think I want to switch over all the way. And this wasn't a small decision because this is something I really loved, I really enjoyed, I wanted to do it, but it's not going to be the same financially. We're not there yet in lifestyle medicine as we are with, some of the other medical specialties. But, we looked at our bank account, we said our kids are grown, we have enough savings for them, our house is paid for. I'm going to just slowly transition from radiology completely and go full-time into lifestyle medicine. So that transitioned as of 2021, December 2021, I have stopped radiology 100%, and I'm just doing lifestyle medicine. So in our clinic, I'm probably working about 20 hours. So still there's not that much demand for lifestyle medicine. But again, it's perfect because it gives me more time to devote to our nonprofit, Peaceful Planet Foundation. So all these programs in the third board that I mentioned previously, we have a gardening program. The other thing our nonprofit does is it encourages people to really take the tenets of lifestyle medicine. But we actually started this work even before lifestyle medicine. We call it the mindfulness program that we make available to school-age children. We call it the 5M program. So the 5 M's are mindful breathing, mindful movement. So mindful breathing is pranayama. Mindful movement is basically yoga. Mindful stillness is mindfulness meditation. And then mindful eating, we'll take plant-based snacks, usually fruit or something you can like put ants on a log, put sunflower butter in a celery and stick some raisins on there. So really simple and healthy snacks to the school-age kids. And then the last M is mindful reflection. So we call it the 5M program. And now we're so happy after working on this for literally over a year. We're in 2 schools in the 3rd ward that the 5M mindfulness program started this fall of 2022. They started with the fall semester. And we have yoga teachers who are trained in the 5M program, and they work with school-age kids. Right now we're doing 1st grade through 5th grade. And it's different grades at Blackshear, different grades at Thompson Elementary. And the yoga teacher, our nonprofit, supports them so they can go out there and do an hour-long program where they do pranayama or breathing exercises with the kids, then they do some yoga, then they do some stillness, just being present with the present moment, just really simple mindfulness meditation. Then they all eat a healthy plant-based snack, and then the yoga teacher encourages them to reflect, what did you find useful? What was helpful? Did you like anything, dislike anything? So that happens in an hour. And we're just really fortunate that we're now in 2 schools, and there's more schools now seeking us out, that they want to bring the 5M or the mindfulness program into their schools. So being able to work part-time in my wife's clinic, I'm able to do lifestyle medicine, which I really enjoy. And the other part that really gives me passion and joy is working on our nonprofit Peaceful Planet, bringing this mindfulness program into schools, which would, otherwise probably not have access to these tools.
The retreat that yesterday, is this an annual thing? Are there other activities too? Because you mentioned Walk with Doc.
Yeah.
That reminds me of one of the pillars,
Yeah. Right, so exercise.
Yeah. Well, not that, also
community
support, and all that, yeah.
Absolutely. So when I was kind of transitioning over from radiology to lifestyle medicine, I was doing more and more. We actually got this clinic sort of built for lifestyle medicine. So as part of the healthy ecosystem we try to create for our patients, we do mindfulness meditation with them twice a month. In this very room that we're doing this interview in, we usually do meditation here. And then usually we'll do yoga right afterwards, or some other sort of healthy, whether it's strength training or other movements, sometimes different styles of yoga. And in addition to that, we do plant-based potlucks. So we do that in our clinic once a month, again, bringing community. Because as you mentioned, most of the world this is not on their radar, or certainly not their focus. So when we get patients to say, okay, they see the benefit, they're moving this way, then they go to their friends or to some neighborhood event and they see the community and they miss the barbecue. So we want to give them that they have community here. So we do these plant-based potlucks so they can see, okay, I'm not the only one doing this. There are other folks doing this, and then they make connections. So community, you're right, is very important when we're trying to move into this healthy diet, this compassionate diet. And part of that community is Walk with a Doc. Once a month, my wife and I, we go to a local park, and other patients and people from the community will join us. And typically we'll do like a 5-minute talk. If it's October, we'll do heart health or something. Sometimes we'll call other physicians. But since the pandemic, it's just been my wife and I mostly. So another way to bring people together, to make them feel part of a healthy community. And we do cooking classes. So a lot of patients, they say, okay, I see the value, I want to do it, but I don't know how to cook. So we're fortunate to have at least, I think we now know 3 Food for Life instructors. They've been trained by PCRM on how to make delicious whole food plant-based dishes, and we teach that in our clinic. And they do the cooking classes. My patients come, my wife's patients come, and folks even from the community come. Just getting them to see that you can have this wonderful feast, you can make it easily, you can prepare it without spending hours and hours into the kitchen. And it's another way to build community when they come to the cooking classes. So this is all part of lifestyle medicine and part of what we as humans crave, right? Our body naturally wants healthy food. Our body wants healthy connections with those around us. Our body, thrives on getting a good night's sleep. So all these things, we want to create this ecosystem for our patients. And outside of that, we want to make as many tools of this possible to schools who would ordinarily not have access to these. So we also do community events. In the spring of 2022, we did an event at a church in the 3rd Ward. This is a predominantly African American area of the city. And they welcomed us with open arms. And we did sort of a mini event like the one yesterday. Yesterday we had, I think, 7 speakers, talking on nutrition, on emotional health, pranayama demonstrations, mindfulness meditation sessions. We had gardening tips. We had, a big lineup. From 9 to 3, we had like a total of 24 people. Cooking demos, 2 cooking demos we did yesterday, plant-based. So it was a very rich and a packed day that people got a lot out of it. We did a very small version of this at this church in the 3rd Ward, where we did a small nutrition session. We had a person come in. One of our yoga teachers did a 20-minute yoga session, and then we catered food from a local restaurant that can do plant-based. And this local restaurant will actually, if you call them ahead of time and say you want to do it low salt and you want to do it without any oil, they'll cook wonderful Ethiopian food with those specifications. So they made this lovely spread, and we had about 40-50 people come to that event, and they just really enjoyed the meditation, the yoga, the short cooking demo, and this wonderful food. So we are trying to do more events in the community, but mostly our focus is the mindfulness program in the schools. And we're recently have gotten into gardening, like we talked about earlier. So that's kind of how my week is spent, partly doing work with Peaceful Planet and partly doing work with Lifestyle Docs.
Do you have any quotes you would like to share?
One of the quotes that this is not original in any means, but we have a poster hanging in my consult room. It says, "Eat right, be fit, stress less, and connect more." So eating right means a whole foods, healthy vegan diet. Be fit, choose whatever exercise, whatever physical movement feels good to you, and just do it on a regular basis. Stress less, just find healthy tools. Being in the 21st century, we are just surrounded by stress. Not just the pandemic, just driving in Houston alone is stressful. There's so many demands to your schedule. So just finding healthy tools to be able to manage that stress, to be able to really have good emotional health, mental health, and I would say even spiritual health. So mindfulness, meditation, yoga, getting a good night's sleep are all tools you can use to stress less. And finally, connect more, having a healthy community. The event yesterday, the entire event was volunteer run. No one, not one of the presenters, not one of the persons who checked in folks at the registration desk, who doing the cooking demos, all the people, they did it without any cost to us. It was a completely volunteer event. So just the wonderful community, when you are part of a wonderful community, when you can connect with other like-minded folks, you can put on these wonderful events. And we're just really happy that everything turned out well yesterday. So we really appreciate everyone's help yesterday in making this a very successful and meaningful event for us and hopefully for the community.
Is this something that you feel like is affordable for everyone? Because some people act like they don't have time to prepare foods and it's expensive to eat this way, whether it is or not, whether it's organic or not. Any comments you could share in that regard real quick?
Yeah, and this is, one of the questions we get asked frequently. People look at organic produce at Whole Foods and they see the prices and they said, okay, I can, most people are not going to be able to afford it. And, being vegan, eating healthy, fruits and vegetables are of course important, and we want people to eat lots of them. But if you can't afford organic ones, get non-organic. You can use some baking soda, you can use apple cider vinegar to really reduce the pesticides and other residues that may be potentially harmful. So this is what I tell my patients. Greens are so healthy for you, even with all the pesticides. You know, our body is very resilient. We have this liver that detoxifies things. So something like greens and beans are so healthy for us, even if they're not organic and not available in the best, most healthful way. They are still so much more nutritious than animal products that you're still better off eating them. You can take some steps to make them even cleaner, you know, really wash them well, use baking soda, those sort of things. And beans, I mean, this is like the cheapest thing you can buy. This is like the best protein source you could ever hope to have. And beans compared to meat, there's no comparison. They are like 3 to 5 times cheaper. Okay, and whole grains, you know, rice, barley, millet, these things are very cheap. Okay, so this is where you're going to get majority of your calories, from beans and other staples. And eating fruits and vegetables, eating nuts and seeds, you know, those are important, but it's not going to break your bank. And the other thing you can do is buy frozen fruit. That's so much cheaper than fresh fruit. You can buy frozen greens. So if you're really wanting to do this, you can do this. You can eat healthfully, whole food, plant-based, healthy vegan diet on half the cost of the standard American diet. Okay, you can go to farmer's market. You can buy frozen fruits and frozen things. All those make it very affordable. In fact, make it cheaper to eat this way than the standard American diet.
Give us a quick rundown. What are some of the things you like to eat in a day?
So my wife and I were pretty regimented. So in the morning we'll have rolled oats, and in that we'll put strawberries, banana, apples, pears, peaches, whatever fruit is in our refrigerator, and we always have lots of fruit. And I'll just make a big fruit bowl, and my wife literally sprinkles a little bit of rolled oats on it. I do a little bit more. And then we might put some tahini on top some days, put some raisins or goji berries other days. That's part of our breakfast. The other thing we do on most mornings is do what we call a green smoothie. So this is a smoothie originally by Michael Greger, but we've tweaked it to our own liking. So it's, you know, lots of greens, small amount of fruit, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, whatever, you know, usually walnuts and almonds are our go-to nuts. So we make a really rich, tall glass of smoothie and rolled oats with, you know, lots of fruit. So that's typically breakfast. Lunch is usually some sort of whole grain. Quinoa, millet, brown rice, red rice, black rice. And then we make lentils, yellow lentils, black lentils, French lentils, Indian lentils, chickpeas, you know, beans of various colors. So that's usually dinner. That's usually lunch. And at dinner time, you know, we've eaten so much for breakfast and lunch that our dinner is typically lighter. So sometimes, you know, we'll eat a little bit of what we had for lunch, some leftovers. Sometimes I like avocado toast, and I'll make that at dinner time. Other times we'll have mostly fruit, just depending on if it was a late lunch. So that's typically, or just leftovers from lunch, you know, whole grains and beans, something of that sort. And edamame is frequently those sort of things.
You didn't mention the Beyond Burger.
Yeah, we don't eat. I've eaten it like once or twice. It was fine, and you know, Beyond Burger is a wonderful step-down food if that's what you need to move this away. But as you know, it's not the healthiest thing for us.
Would you try lab-grown meat?
I have no desire to have meat in any form now. I mean, I just find that eating whole foods is delicious. This is a slow journey. You know, growing up, I didn't eat a lot of broccoli. I didn't eat a lot of beans. I would get a lot of gas. But slowly, I stuck with it, and I increased slowly the amount of beans that I eat. I started eating some of the vegetables raw. And now I'm eating more varied vegetables and nuts and raw and cooked, all combinations, than ever in my life. You know, one of the physicians, Dr. Bolshevitz, encourages people to eat 30 different plant foods in a week. We eat 30 different plant foods on most days. So there's just so much abundance in the vegetable world that it just, carrots taste sweet to me. I mean, apple, you get it perfectly, crisp apple in the peak of the season is just so tasty that I have no desire for lab-grown meat or even cake or cookies. I would rather have, cherries or peaches or something that's, available in season. I mean, that's just more exciting and, frankly, more delicious.
Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to get out there?
I just want to tell people that slowly do things that work for your body. This is something that's compassionate for your body. This is something that's compassionate for your mind, compassionate for the animals, and compassionate for the earth. Wherever you are, just take one small step. If you can take big leaps at times, that's great, but we can always take small steps. Just change one thing in your day. Maybe you add a fruit, maybe you add something to your breakfast, or maybe you eat a salad once a week. Just take one small step. Something just adds more vegetables, more whole grains, anything that you like. And before you know it, you're going to be eating completely different, and you're going to be enjoying it, and you're going to be better off for it.
Well, thanks for sharing. Now, how can people find out more about Peaceful Planet Foundation?
So you can go to our website, peacefulplanetfoundation.org. We also have a YouTube channel, and also we're on Facebook. Same thing, Peaceful Planet Foundation. And I think we're also on Instagram. My wife does more of the social media thing, but I think we're on Instagram also.